All right, what's going on, everyone? This is Aiden Wood, mix and mastering here. And today I'm here to talk about a mixing tip that can really help elevate your mixes. And it's one of those things that's probably a little more subtle when you listen back to your mix. But when you use it in certain scenarios, it can add a lot of character to your sounds, a lot of richness, a lot of fullness. And so that thing that we're going to talk about today is chorus. Now, the chorus is kind of talked about sometimes. I don't find it's talked about quite enough because I do think it does a lot for your mixes, and I'm going to show how specifically it does that. But it's one of those sort of last 5%, 10% tools that you can add to your mix that will add a lot of difference. And so I'm going to talk about a few ways we can do that. The main ways that I like to use chorus are on my synths, on my vocals, and my effects. And I use these in a little bit of a different way. I don't use them all the same way for each different group there. But again, you're going to notice that this adds a lot of character and depth to these elements. And so I'll show you guys exactly how I do that specifically. So I'll show you guys this little idea I have here. It's very not finished, one I'm working on with a couple of buddies. It sounds like this. Yeah, so it's a very simple idea, not quite finished, but I'm liking it a lot. But I'm at the point in the mix where I'm not probably quite at the end where I'd be thinking about these things, but I want to try these ideas on this song to see if it can help boost the mix itself, and maybe it'll help me kind of finish it off and get more creative with some of the ideas as well. So what I'll do is I'll start with our synths, and we can listen to our synths here. So it's a very simple synths. I've barely processed anything at this point, but I want to show you guys what the power of using chorus on our synths would be. So what I've done is I've set up chorus to be a send channel in my template here. And so what I have is this beautiful chorus plugin called Tal Chorus LX. This is a free plugin, and it is meant to emulate the Juno 60 chorus. So it's this very, vintagey, rich feeling chorus that I find the Ableton one doesn't quite replicate. The Ableton one itself is great too, the ensemble one specifically. But if you put this one at 100% wet, keep the width up. I like to throw on the second mode here too, keep them both on. Then I put it on a send channel, and I can kind of mix it to taste within my synth bus. Now, this is my favorite way to do it with synths because I can really dial it in and dial it back for all my elements. And when I use it on the bus, it sort of works as a bit of I don't like to use the word glue too much, but it does glue the elements together because it makes them sound like they're in the same space, sort of like they're recorded in a similar setting. And so I'll show you guys exactly what I mean here. So we'll listen again. Let's listen to maybe a fuller part. Maybe we'll listen to actually this part here. So we're gonna hear what it sounds at full. Obviously too much. So we can try listening without it. And we go with, maybe we want a little bit more. So that sounds like it's working. So we listen 0. We listen with. Yeah, you should be able to notice it there. Maybe dial it back just a bit more. So it's doing a lot there. It's adding a lot of character to our sound. It's adding it to all the synths that we have within our song, which is great because, again, it's making it sound like it's sort of recorded in the same studio, maybe in the same place even. And this is really helpful for our sounds because if we have, a very saturated sound, we have a very deep sound, and there's not a lot of similarities between them, that can work well, like having the contrast of those things, but we want there to be something that kind of ties them together so they don't sound completely random or like they don't make sense together. Like we want to add a couple things within our mix that make them sound more similar. And so that's what processing does. That's what group processing does specifically. And so the way I like to do it with my synths is I throw it on a send bus and I just mix it to taste. Now, the other way I like to do this is I like to use it on my white noise risers, and I like to use it on my vocals. So I'll show you guys quickly how I like to do this. So usually for my effects, I'll just throw it right on a send channel. So we listen to, the sweep here. And so again, that's just a pretty typical white noise sample there. But what I like to do is I'll just dial back the dry wet a bit. I'll add the two different versions here together, and I'll throw this on the white noise. And you can hear it adds a ton of space, a lot of depth. It makes it sound rich. This very stale white noise, it makes it sound much more interesting, way more full, and it turns it from a very stale noise, like this very classic white noise rise, into something unique. So if we listen to it in the context, they sound pretty cool. Like way more present. If you're listening on your headphones, you're gonna hear there's a lot more stereo information going on there. That's because we just threw on a little towel chorus there. So one way to spice up your effects specifically is trying to throw chorus on it. Don't completely wash it in chorus, but add a little bit and it'll definitely be a noticeable difference compared to normal white noise sweeps and anything that is sort of like a static, boring, classic sound that you can turn into, your own thing. Now, lastly, is I like to throw it on my vocals a little bit too. Now, this is where you have to be careful because this, essentially what chorus is this little time automated delays and little bits of flanging going on. So, this is something that adds, like I'm saying, the space, the richness, the fullness to a sound, but it's important to not wash these sounds out. Like we want to keep the main part of the sound that we picked it for in the first place. We want that to stay, but we just want to add little sort of extra bits to make it complete and sound right in the mix. And so I don't even know if I'll use the two here. I'll kind of just mix this to taste for my vocal and go from there. So I like to throw it on the channel and just kind of listen to it here. Maybe what I'll do is just listen to it over without the automation.
Street life, because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life, and there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life, because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life, because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life.
Very cool. So we can hear it adds a whole bunch of character to the sound now.
Because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life, and there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life, until you play your life away.
Very, very cool. So we can hear it. It adds sort of that little delay tail at the end. It adds some space to it. It's a really cool way to sort of add a little bit more to your sounds. What I will be saying though is check for any low-end information that's being added. This Tal Chorus one here doesn't have a high-pass filter attached to it, so it's very possible that it will add low-end information. And we can check here. So I'll throw a high-pass before the chorus so that we know we're taking out the lows. And so we can see that if anything passes into this space here in this EQ, that means the tau chorus will be affecting it. So we can see there's a whole bump.
Because there's no place I can go. Street life.
I'll just duplicate this just to make sure it's really cutting it.
Because there's no place I can go. Street life. It's the only life I know. Street life. And there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life. Until you play street life. Because there's no place I can go. Street life. It's the only life I know. Street life. And there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life.
Okay, so the EQ8, it doesn't really seem to be properly picking up any changes. It's possible that there isn't any change, but I just want to look at it in Pro Q4
because there's no place I can go. Street life, it's the only life I know. Street life, and there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life, until you play your life away.
Okay, so I actually don't think it's really adding much. There's still a little bump here, and I think that's just coming from the initial sound itself. What I'll do is, let's just try doing the low cut with Pro Q4 before, and so we can see here. Sorry, we'll do it like this. Take these off. Now we'll see if we go into this one and we turn this off.
Because there's no place I can go.
There still seems to be some, so I'm gonna use.
It's the only life I know. Street life, and there's 1,000 parts to play. Street life,
and I'll let it
until you play your life away.
And there we go. So we're making sure we're taking out any low-end information that's being added by Chorus. It can happen. I don't think it happens too massively when we use it in small amounts, but it's always good to use cuts. So you can see in the send channel, for example, I am removing the low-end information that the chorus adds. And so when you use it in your channel, make sure you just throw a low cut after, just to make sure that that low-end information isn't there. We don't want that interfering with like our kick or our bass line or anything. So just make sure you take that information out. And yeah, guys, this has been definitely a quicker video here, but chorus can really add a lot to your mixes. And it's a very subtle thing that some people, I would say most people actually don't have as a part of their go-to process, but I would definitely suggest trying this in your next mix for your clients, for your own songs, because it will go a long way. And it actually adds enough fullness and depth that you can hear the difference. And I'm almost sure that if you are working with a client that hasn't used these tricks before, that they will be pretty blown away by what you return back to them. So again, if you haven't used it in your own mixes and you're using it for a client's mix, try it out in your next mix, see if you like it. And I think you'll see some pretty cool results. So yeah, guys, this has been Aidan Wood, mix and mastering here. Thanks so much for watching this one. If you have any questions at all about my process, about any plugins I'm using, about any samples, please let me know. I'll be sure to help out in the comments below. And yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.